What's going on? It says Rob. I don't know why, but that's Ian. That's Seamus. Welcome into Celtics Talk Weekly pregame show. Again, I'm your host, Justin. I don't know why it says Rob. I don't know how to change this stuff. But, guys, tonight, Celtics. I'm a little new with this. Usually Rob does it. Props to Rob. But in all seriousness, Celtics and Lakers tonight. Celtics coming in 7-8. Lakers coming in 8-8. 8-8. Not ideal start for either of the two teams, Seamus.
Not at all. And the Lakers, we haven't really been able to judge them thus far this season because LeBron James hasn't played in over half of their games. So how can you even judge a team that, doesn't have one of the most dominant players of all time on their roster when, he's out? That being said, the Lakers this year haven't looked great. 8-8. They basically have the same record as us, played one more game, one more win. Turnover-prone team, very inefficient team overall. They don't shoot a lot of threes. They shoot a lot of twos, but all those twos come from the mid-range, and we all know the mid-range shot, probably one of the most inefficient shots in the NBA, and especially today when a lot of teams are taking threes, trying to get to the rim and get easy baskets. Lakers, I'm not so bought into their pieces around LeBron and Anthony Davis this year, but we'll see tonight. The Celtics, this is still a very tough matchup for them coming off of an 11-point loss on Wednesday to the Hawks. They have to pick it back up after that. They are what? The Celtics are 2-2 in their last 4. I believe they are 3-2 in their last 5, and we can go on and on. So the Celtics, this is an opportunity to get back on their feet, get a great home win because any win against the Lakers, no matter where it's at, huge win. So if they can get it at home tonight, even bigger. I'm looking for that tonight for the Celtics. Big bounce back game for them against this lousy Lakers team. I'm just going to say it right now. This lousy Lakers team.
And yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. Rob, who's actually at the game, he's going to be covering the game at the TD Garden. Mentioned, this Lakers roster is a little bit banged up. They're not clicking as much as people had thought they would click. Celtics could really take advantage of that tonight. I know the Celtics don't look by any means any more pretty than the Lakers, but, Celtics have a serious opportunity here to catch the Lakers off guard, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers have been struggling this season, to say the least. Anthony Davis had a quote that summed it up pretty well. We suck, and I 100% agree with that. So,
even when they're good, they suck.
I know. So, their defense has not been good at all this season. At least that's what it seems like. So, I feel like the Celtics has just as much of a chance to beat the Lakers as the Thunder did twice. So, I'm pretty excited for it.
Somebody I want to talk about is Jaylen Brown because he's kind of been obviously on the injury report for the past couple of weeks, except for the hamstring injury against the Miami Heat. Missed the second half of that game. I believe this is his 7th straight missed game. Tonight, he was obviously questionable for those 3 games, got downgraded to out for all 3 of those road games. Now, same situation. He's now downgraded to out. Robert Williams joins him. Dennis Schroeder, thankfully, does not join them because he was a late scratch on tonight's game. What does this do, Seamus? Because not only are the Lakers banged up too, but the Celtics are banged up as well. And Jason, we're going to obviously need a big night from Jason Tatum, which I'm sure we'll get into a little later on, especially in the post-game show. But, Jaylen Brown has had some pretty good games against the Lakers. He's actually a big reason as to why the Celtics won in LA last season.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he probably had one of the best games of his career in LA last year. I believe he had 40 points in that game, just an all-around game from Jaylen Brown against the Lakers. Obviously, they weren't at full strength last year either, so, that has something to factor into it as well. But Jaylen Brown, like we saw against Atlanta, the Celtics just struggled to get buckets at times, and they struggled to defend at times, especially. And with Jaylen Brown out there, it obviously just adds another scoring threat to the table, and especially in a big game like this, where you're probably going to go mano-a-mano a couple of times with the Lakers stars, you're going to need that offensive firepower. And right now, the Celtics, that's really one of their biggest questions heading into this game is can they score enough points to get past the Lakers? Because look at the last 3 games. We haven't scored over 100 points in 3 games. I believe it's 3 games. And so the Celtics, they're going to have to score points tonight. And going back on the Jaylen Brown thing, seems like the team had the same idea as I did. Don't bring him back in Atlanta. Don't bring him back in LA.
Yeah.
2 high-stake games. Bring him back either against Oklahoma City or Houston when he's, it's a lower-stake game. The energy probably won't be as high on the floor. And it seems like the team took that approach. Jaylen Brown wanted to come back sooner. It's kind of crazy last year. We had that Donovan Mitchell Utah story that got blown up. This seems like the same situation. Yet no really media coverage on it at all, just kind of in the wind, whatever. So Celtics, I bet Jaylen Brown will be back tomorrow night against the Thunder. That's my guess, and that'll be a big addition for our team.
Ooh, that would be fun because I'm going to that game, so it'd be super fun to see Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum dominate the Oklahoma City Thunder. But Ian, let's keep talking about this because how we talked about the importance of Jaylen Brown out of the lineup, but how it's clearly shown that, like Rob has pointed out many times, Rob Haytain, our host here, not Rob Williams, has pointed out, though, Rob Williams is our defensive anchor, and he's a huge anchor, and he's a huge reason as to why the Celtics maybe have the 7 wins that they have this season.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Williams has had an incredible season so far to start. I mean, obviously he's not, an offensive, he's not the main offensive threat for your team, but defensively, he has held it down completely in the paint. No one is getting by him at all, it feels like, and he is just playing some unreal defense for now. And it sucks because we say it all the time, if he's healthy, could be a top 10 center in this league, in my opinion, if he's healthy. So it's tough. I think he is too, honestly. Either a 9 or 10 right now, in my opinion. So it's tough to see him go down because the Celtics were just starting to form a defensive identity. And now your main anchor, your main piece of your team that focuses on defense is now out for who knows how long. I hope it's not a serious injury, but if we have him gone for, let's just say, I don't know, a few weeks, 3-4 weeks, that's going to be tough because he's basically the guy that holds down our defense. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about our key matchup tonight. Oh, were you going to say something? Well,
I can add on to this with the injury part specifically. This seemed like it was going to be a bad sort of, he could still come back soon. Maybe say he comes back tomorrow and, it's dust in the wind. But if he's out, like Ian said, a couple of weeks, we could just kind of see that coming from what happened in Cleveland. There wasn't a play in which he looked at it and went, okay, well, he got injured right there. So, something's happening. He came out of the game with knee soreness halfway through the game. That's never good to hear when you're literally just hurting so much that you need to come out of the game. That was a question with him last year. Can he play over 30 minutes a game and feel comfortable? He loves playing 30 minutes over a game, but can his body sustain it? That's another question moving forward. And that's another thing we really don't have the answer on yet.
I want to move on to our key matchup here because that's a pretty damn good one. LeBron James, who is a game time decision now that we're just 15 minutes away from the tip-off, he has been ruled eligible to play. I think that this was long awaited. I feel like we knew this a week ago that when it was said that LeBron James potentially playing against Boston. No, not potentially. This means he's going to come back and play against the Boston Celtics.
But we had to make it
suspenseful. A classic. Exactly. We had to get the clickbait in. But today, this is our key matchup. Tatum and LeBron, they have not disappointed when we've seen these two face up against each other since Jason Tatum's rookie year. If you guys remember that game in February a couple of years ago, Celtics lost, I think it was by 3, and LeBron James said, Jason Tatum, it's just absolutely a problem. Jason Tatum struggling. He had a fantastic game, arguably. You can even argue the Charlotte game and then last game go hand to hand. Jason Tatum 24, 8 and 3. LeBron James, when he plays, scoring nearly 25, 6 rebounds and 7 assists. These two players, the future of the league versus the past of the league going head to head tonight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Jason Tatum. Yeah, we should probably add more on it, but we're just waiting for each other to talk. But Jason Tatum,
yeah, I know.
Like you said the other night, he's getting ready to turn up. I think this could be the game tonight where we actually see Jason Tatum emerge say he puts up 30, 35, 40 tonight, and we see him emerge as, okay, this man is our well, he's obviously already our superstar, but he's becoming now what he was supposed to be coming into the season. And I think we're seeing shades of that. We saw shades of that, and we talked about it a million times. It seems like the last component of his game was to make shots. Tonight, I mean, what better opportunity to make shots than Lakers Celtics at the TD Garden tonight? That's a game on national TV. Jason Tatum can get back into the fold into, say, maybe he does at the end of the year jump into the MVP race if he can get that good, and the Celtics can get that good at the end of the year. Maybe it doesn't happen, but this is the night where Jason Tatum can turn it up and turn the narrative on himself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jason Tatum, even last night's the other night's performance against Atlanta, he basically carried the Celtics all night. The Celtics weren't going to be close in that game if Jason Tatum didn't do what he did. Yeah. And Tatum didn't stop either. He didn't give up. I mean, granted, we kind of had a feeling the Celtics weren't going to come back anyway, but at the same time, he showed effort throughout the entire game. And I mean, It feels like he's on the cusp of finally breaking out and being consistent. Hopefully. That's a hopefully. Because we've said it a couple times so far this season that we thought his breakout was going to happen. But, I mean, he seems to love playing against the Lakers. So, I don't know. It just feels like it's set up to be a classic matchup.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of like you can't script this any better. Actually, you probably could. But, I want to ask you guys this. Now, I have a lot of respect for LeBron James. He's absolutely torched the Celtics throughout his career. But how is this only 6 games played? He's coming off of one of the longer injuries that's kept him out of his career. He's aging. I'm not saying I'm doubting LeBron James, but how much in effect could this affect his game tonight? I mean, he's only played 6 games this year so far.
I mean, at 36 years old, I believe he's now, or 37 years old, you'd have to think that this man is now a little bit human, because in recent years, LeBron hasn't fallen off whatsoever, other than sustaining the injuries he sustained last year, which were kind of freaked because someone fell on his ankle. Other than that, I mean, LeBron really hasn't slowed down one bit. And now, you look at it, he's 37. He had a real injury to his abdomen, an abdomen strain, and he missed 2-3 weeks of time. That's a lot of time. He hasn't really gotten himself in the swing of the season yet either. It would probably be a different story if he played, say 30 games and then went out 2 weeks and then came back. But right now, I mean, he's coming off the offseason. I would expect him to look fresh, but I don't know if he's going to be completely there 100% LeBron James as we see him. He's not going to go for 40, hopefully, tonight. But he's going to impact the game in a certain way that, we're going to have a lot of trouble stopping.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the amount of times that we've seen LeBron just absolutely go insane against the Celtics, it feels like it's hard to count. And the interesting thing about LeBron is that we have seen him be this superhuman player for so long. Like, we've grown up with LeBron in the league. Like, literally, we were kids when he got drafted. Like, what were we, like 3, 1 maybe? Like, I mean, he's been in the league. I think I was like 2 or 3. But it's been so long that we've seen LeBron be the superhuman. And to think that he's human is just kind of insane, because it's just you just never see the day. But I mean, I don't know. Knowing LeBron, he'll see this and he'll use it as fuel, and #washed king will return to the Garden and drop 40.
It's so crazy. He uses that phrase like people think he's washed. What evidence does anyone have that LeBron is washed other than that Phoenix series last year? I don't know. Weird. So weird.
All right. Let's talk about the keys to the game, because we've been getting flamed on the keys to the game recently in the comment section. I don't understand why people care so much to roast us about the keys of the game, because look, it's the same damn keys to the game. If the Celtics want to start knocking down open shots and playing with effort and rebounding the basketball, and the bench unit steps up, we're gonna have the same damn keys to the game. So unless anybody, wants to come on the show and give us a different key to the game, I think my key to the game tonight is gonna stay. We need to provide some bench scoring tonight. Something Rob pointed out in the post-game show against Atlanta was we really, in pre-game we were talking about the Aaron Nesmiths and the Romeo Langfords, and even if Peyton Pritchard got time, stepping up big that game. That was their game to do it. No Jaylen Brown, no Robert Williams, and guess what? They failed to do it, and the Celtics got wiped. The Celtics did get wiped. If it wasn't for Tatum's performance, you said it before, the Celtics got absolutely obliterated. So tonight, same thing occurs. I mean, the Lakers are a relatively, on paper, a better team, maybe a little older and more experienced, but we need the bench to show up tonight and produce some minutes. Maybe my boy Jabari Parker gets some time tonight and has a couple highlight dunks on LeBron in place of Jaylen Brown, but the bench has got to step up tonight nonetheless.
Definitely, especially after last game where we had 11 points off the bench, all from Josh Richardson, all of them. And
Jay Rich.
Jay Rich, man, is fit. Every time his fit is on, he's on. So just remember that, betting purposes later on in life. But my key to the game tonight, push the pace. We see the Celtics team, they actually thrive when they play fast. They thrive. Yet over the past 5 to 10 games, the pace has just plummeted for them. And, you kind of maybe attribute that to some of their, just lockdown defensive efforts. And I don't know. It's more of a, we're not hitting shots. We're not consistently executing offense. The Celtics team, I want to see them play fast. I want to see them play in transition. We're almost last now in the league in fast break points and transition opportunities. Play fast, play with effort, and get the Garden going tonight, because this is going to be a highly anticipated game. This is going to be a sellout. Lakers are in town. LeBron is now playing after 2 weeks. Hot commodity. King James. We all know him.
Washed King.
Hashtag washed King. So Celtics, play fast, play with energy.
Oh man, yeah. My key to the game. Now, everyone might think my key to the game is hit wide open shots, which it technically is. But I have a different key to the game, and I feel like it might be a given. It's let Russell Westbrook shoot, because he has looked terrible to start the season so far, and when he takes a lot of shots and he misses them, it will help the Celtics a lot with rebounding and maybe hitting their own wide open shots. So letting Russell Westbrook shoot and him missing all of the shots will maybe lead to the Celtics having a pretty good game on the rebounding and transition game.
Yeah, and make Russ pass the ball. He's first in the NBA by a wide margin in bad pass turnovers. So that doesn't include loose ball turnovers where you're like just losing the ball off your foot or whatever, which he has a lot of as well. Bad pass turnovers where you're either throwing an interception or throwing it out of bounds. Make him be a playmaker, because Russell Westbrook, at least 4 times a game, he's going to give you an extra opportunity.
Also, I have some words of encouragement from our missing host here, Rob Haytan. He says, I ask him, any thoughts before the game? He says, beat LA. Riveting commentary.
That one's a good one. That one's a great key to the game. That's actually the only key to the game tonight. Beat LA.
Fellas.
We don't beat LA.
Fellas.
Come on. We beat Atlanta with the Pats.
Uh-oh.
Yes, we did beat Atlanta with the Pats. Great win, by the way. Mac Jones, Rookie of the Year. Second of all, now Justin might have not scripted tonight's show to perfection. So if you two, while I say the first over under, want to come up with an over under, that'd be appreciated. I know this is probably not a good time to do this, but we got to do it because there's 4 over unders. It is a national TV game. It is a rivalry game, so we have to do 4, not just 3. We have to do 4. I'm gonna go ahead and ask you guys: does Grant Williams go over under 9.5 points tonight? We're gonna need a big game from Grant Williams once again, because look, 9.5 might seem a little bit too high for some people, but Grant Williams in the starting lineup has been phenomenal. I don't know his point average so far, but I believe how many did he have the other night?
He had like
was he
18
over
last
20? Did he have
the other
21?
night. I think it was 21
Yeah, so
or
over
18.
under.
Yeah.
Over under 9.5 points tonight from Grant Williams.
9.5, so he has to get 10. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
promptly under because he's had 11, 11, and 18. So, that could be a trend, and he's starting to score
for
double digits. That being said, the couple games before that, which I believe was a 6 or 7 game stretch, he averaged 1.7 points per game. So I'm going to go more off of those numbers and say that was probably closer to the Grant Williams that we know rather than the 13, 14 point per game Grant Williams. I'm going to go under 9.5 tonight.
I don't know what it is, but I got a pretty good feeling about Grant. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You know, I gotta support Grant.
Yes.
So
We've
I'm
been
going
very supportive of Grant here.
I know I'm going over. I think Grant has to score. I don't know if it's a matter of if he will. I think it's a matter that he kind of has to, or the Celtics are going to – I feel like the Celtics are going to have a rough time.
So –
wow. I'm going to take the neutral on this one. I'm going to take the slash in between over and
under. What?
Wow, Grant Williams. So over under. Yeah. So you hit it on the dot. 9.5. Wow. So minus 105.
I didn't look it up. I swear this is unscripted. Hence why I need you guys to fill in the script here.
I swear it's his point on via DraftKings 9.5. Grant Williams over under. I was like, I guess he's reading off this. So I don't know. Guess not.
Wow. That's crazy.
No, impressive. I'm not. I know a lot of people might get a little frustrated with me taking the over, but I'm gonna take the over here. I see both you guys' points. Yes, Seamus, he has been doing very well. He might be due for a little single-digit game. Maybe it is just 7, 8, or 9, but I have a lot of confidence. I think he's gonna he stretches the floor out very well. He's been getting himself very, very nice fluent shots in the corner, and he's been hitting the corner three. His 3-point shot, he said he's worked on it in the offseason. Well, it's pretty damn true so far this year. I like what I see from Grant. Anybody else like to add an over-under, please?
Well, I have a bunch of odds in front of me right now. We can go quarter odds. Who wins?
Anything you want. You pick it. You pick it. All
right. So the Lakers. Actually, we'll just do this. Who wins the first quarter, Lakers or Celtics?
Ooh.
I was gonna go points.
I'm gonna go.
No.
I'm gonna go.
The other day. Might have been 2 weeks ago. I have no idea.
I'm gonna go.
Honestly,
in all serious, Celtics going off of the Celtics slow starts this season, especially against good teams. I'm gonna go under, meaning they're trailing after one. I'm not saying we're gonna lose, but I'm gonna take the under on that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Justin. I think I'm going to go with the under on that. I think the Celtics have just had such a tough time at the beginning of games that, it honestly feels like the Lakers might take the first quarter. So,
the Celtics, when they start games, I'm not quite certain if they remember how to play basketball when they start games sometimes, because especially on the offensive end of the floor. Yeah. Offensive starts for this team so far have been terrible. I mean, even the other night when we had 29 points, the first couple of minutes of the game was still, what was the score? It was 19-11 at one point for the Hawks, and we just couldn't get our offense going. I'm going to go ahead and say that we do win the first quarter because we're facing the Lakers, and I'm not betting on the Lakers over the Celtics. No way tonight. We are ahead.
Way to make me look like a jerk. Nice.
Yeah, I was like,
nice.
you guys,
it's nice.
You guys, I was like, I'm gonna let these guys go first, and they're going. You guys are going under for a good reason, though. I'm going over because
biasness.
It's my heart. You guys are bringing in the actual statistics.
All right. I think I have an over under.
There's no rules for this, right?
I think I have an over under, and I know we're the Celtics Stock Weekly, but I'd like to do an over under over under 5 turnovers for Russell Westbrook in this game. He's averaging.
Dude, I
He's-
have him on fantasy, so I hope he has the best game ever, but they get blown out. That's what I hope.
He's a Celtics killer sometimes, but what is his turnovers per game right now?
He's averaging 5.2 turnovers a game.
Seems like it should be higher. Seems like he should be averaging like 8.
He actually averages the
We should
most
do.
turnovers in NBA history, which is kind of surprising.
The Lakers have 2 of the top 7 players who turn the ball over the most in NBA history on their roster right now. Russell Westbrook, number 7 in total turnovers. LeBron James, number 1.
Insane.
Which I guess is expected to some extent. You know, he's been around a while, like we were saying. He's been around a while.
So
I'm going way over.
So wait, what was it?
It was over under 5 turnovers for Russell Westbrook.
I'm gonna go over for some stupid reason. I thought you asked who has more turnovers, Schroeder or Westbrook.
I was actually
that's a
going
good
to do
question.
that. I was actually going to do that, but I don't know. I kind of saw that Schroeder is only averaging like 3 turnovers a game, so it's not as bad. So I don't know. I'm going to go
So what was
over.
it, Westbrook over 5.
Yeah, I'm going over.
I'm going over.
Yeah, over 5 for Westbrook. I mean, this man, turnover machine. Turnover machine. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth.
All right.
Okay, I know that we do quite a lot of Jason Tatum scoring, but Seamus, can you really quick look up the odds on Tatum scoring tonight? Because I do want to do this. Celtics, Lakers, ESPN. We're obviously going to need a huge game from Tatum. Why not? This is a perfect Tatum stat line to do.
I think you have to do Tatum.
I believe he's 27.5 tonight. Is his point total. 27.5, minus 105 for the over, minus 115. And if I may throw out a little stat here for a second, since the 2019-20 season, so basically the season in which Jason Tatum became a star, Jason Tatum has averaged 28 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 3.3 assists in 4 games versus the Los Angeles Lakers. So he's averaging 28 points per game in the last 4 games. 27.5 is his over-under tonight. He had 34 in Atlanta on Wednesday.
You know, if we're saying that Jason Tatum is going to break out tonight, honestly, screw it. Why not? I'll go over 27. I think, you know, I just noticed we have Mike Breen and Doris Burke tonight, which is going to be great on ESPN. But at the same time, I'm going over. I think Jason Tatum finally breaks out. We've been saying it all season, but prime time against the Lakers, he idolized the Lakers and Kobe Bryant growing up. So I'm taking the over.
I'm totally with you. Over all the way. Jason Tatum, we already talked about it. This is the perfect opportunity for him to break out tonight. 27.5. If he gets over that mark, great. He's been inching towards that mark, even with his bad shooting all year long. So in a primetime game like this, especially now that the signs are there that he might turn up his game any moment now, I think he gets over 27.5 tonight in a big game against the Lakers.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the over. All for those reasons. And if you don't get 27 out of Jason Tatum tonight against the Los Angeles Lakers with no Brown and no Robert Williams, I really don't see how you win the game other than guys 1 through 8 are balanced scoring.
Schroeder,
You know what
45.
I mean? So, yeah, I mean, probably. Schroeder also has some things, a little bit of animosity tonight. Turned down $84 million to the Los Angeles Lakers. So I'm sure he wants to show that he's worth more than that. Before we wrap up, Seamus, why don't you take us through tonight's jersey matchup? Because we got a classic one for tonight.
I absolutely love tonight's jersey matchup, and I get the little Rob moment right here. See the little so the Celtics, they'll be wearing the wait, gotta get it right. Celtics right down here. There we go. They'll be wearing their City Edition uniforms tonight. I like the representation of these City Edition uniforms. My favorite part of this entire uniform, some people may not have noticed the last time the Celtics wore it. On the side of their pants, there's a gray strip, and it's a
Oh yeah.
smoky gray strip, and it represents Red Auerbach cigar smoke. And to me, that is probably one of the coolest jersey, additions of all time to a uniform. Obviously, in history, we have a lot of cool ones, but that one to me is one of the coolest ones. Obviously, the name across the front too, the Celtics name from the 1960s, 1950s. Actually, scratch that. It's from the 40s. What am I talking about? Lakers uniform, standard. Rob Moment pointed the wrong way. Lakers, your standard, I believe it's their icon uniform tonight. Classic Lakers uniform. I didn't like the whole, the white lettering with the stars on the side. It was a nice uniform, but not in a Celtics Lakers matchup. And then last year they wore purple inside the Garden. That was terrible.
And we wore our banner jerseys,
Disgusting.
Yeah, they were
in
terrible.
Both games, the Celtics, the NBA put those two jerseys together in both games.
It's terrible. And tonight, same thing. We get our city editions. I guess we're just going to wear city edition every single time against the Lakers now on. But at least we have a classic one on our hands this season, a classic green throwback jersey, a throwback jersey that I've been anticipating forever. That one and the classic jersey that we have as our, just a classic edition in general. Those two jerseys, they represent old Celtics jerseys, and I love seeing that out on the floor. I hate seeing banners on jerseys or us having some weird leprechaun font. I don't know about that. I like the classics. I like the classic green and yellow. That's just my opinion. Maybe other people think differently, but this jersey matchup, great tonight.
There's another spicy one tomorrow, too, by the way. We'll have to talk about that tomorrow. But Celtics and Lakers, moments away from tip-off. This is the 369th game. Very nice. Between the two teams on ESPN, I believe, who'd you say? Mike Breen and Doris Burke are on the call for ESPN. Obviously, you got Mike and Scal if you want to tune into some hometown basketball. But we'll be right back here for post-game live moments after the final buzzer. Win-loss, LeBron James gets rejected by Grant Williams, and Grant throws it down the court, and it goes nothing but net. No matter what, we'll be here right after. I'm Justin. That's Seamus. That's Ian. Take care, everybody. We'll see you after the game.